All right, so it's Friday on the Daily Dose, and James makes a shift. He says, he gives an admonition, an instruction. He said, brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them speaks against the law and judges it. And when you judge the law, you are not keeping it because you are sitting in judgment on it. Okay, so let's kind of untangle that. Here's the bottom line on the whole deal. When we slander's that's a really loaded term. So let me put it in kind of context or at least in the language that we would use. When we're criticizing, when we're critical of somebody else, when we're quick to criticize, that's a result of our pride. When we're prideful, it's easy for us to be critical. There is a direct one-to-one correlation there. And so James says, hey, listen, knock that off. If you're humble, then you are a lot slower with your words, with your tongue. Once again, tongue, right? James has that theme of the tongue in chapter 3. You can go back and read that. Listen to it. Here it manifests itself in conflict. When we're prideful, we're critical. So he says, now he ties this to the law. And what James is saying, he's saying anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them, if you're judgmental, then you're speaking against the law and you judge it. And when you judge the law, you're not keeping it, but you are sitting in judgment of it. Not only are you prideful because you're critical, you're prideful because now you're placing yourself above the law. It's almost like you are assuming that you know the hearts and the motivations of individuals, and you don't. If I could be so candid at the risk of offending some of you, you don't even know your own motivations in your own heart, let alone somebody else. At least I don't. It takes me a long time to understand what truly is happening in here, like in the deep parts of my heart. And what God is saying to us through James is, let's take care of our own heart, because when we do that, it's going to help our words so we're not critical and judgmental against a brother or a sister. So this weekend, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make note of how many times you're critical of someone. I'm not saying necessarily you're talking or gossiping about them to somebody else, but just kind of keep it like in your mind. Isn't it easy to be kind of critical? Like, oh yeah, da 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 da, right? We have some less like inner dialogue, this inner commentary about people or things. Just make note of that and take that before the Lord and say, Lord, would you help me because there are some things inside of my heart that are not healthy. I'll see you next week on the Daily Dose.